Welcome, everybody. It's great to see so many of you here tonight for this really important workshop. This is a really special evening, and we're just so happy that you've all come to learn about achieving financial peace of mind. What an important issue for all of us. This program was conceived of, designed, coordinated by Jim Warren, one of our participants here. And as Christina said, he did die on Friday. We are paying tribute to him tonight because he would want this program to occur. And he was a joyful, caring man who believed that a lot of joy in life came from giving back. And a lot of who he gave back to was the wellness community. Last night in my support group that I lead, almost every member of that group had met Jim in orientation and had found him to be so hopeful and inspiration to them. It was quite amazing. About 90% of the people there had met Jim. So Jim wanted to focus on how do I cope when I can't work? And so we're going to address this in three parts: legal rights and resources, commercial resources, and free local resources. Our presenters are Sarah Markarian from the Cancel Legal Resource Center from Loyola University Law School. And this is Tom McDonald, who's my shield here. And he's a financial professional and CPA and worked with Jim. And Carol Jones here is Director of Social Services. She's a social worker at West Hills Hospital, and she serves on our professional advisory board. So you guys are in luck. I'm turning this over to Tom.
So my name's Tom McDonald. My hope tonight is to just give some basic information about financial concepts that may be of use to someone who's had a catastrophic illness. I'm here tonight because Jim asked if I could come and do this. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to try to do this by telling a story. I'm telling a story about Susie Smith. Susie, in our scenario here, was an employee who worked for me. And she comes in one day and tells me that she's been diagnosed with cancer, and she's going to be beginning treatment, and that she's not going to be able to come to work. Obviously, this is a very emotional time, and being the chief bean counter at work and not really being able to deal with the emotional issues, I told Susie, well, I'll try to help where I can, but let's just focus on the financial side of this and see what we can do. So the first thing I wanted Susie to do was come up with a family budget. I wanted to see where her money was being spent, what she was doing with the eye, where could we possibly save some money. As this goes on, it's going to be really important for you to find somebody else who can help manage your budget. You're going to be going through a lot of treatment, a lot of stressful situations, and to be carrying on as the chief numbers person in the family is just going to be too much of a burden. Let's look to where someone else can help you on that. So before I go ahead, I just want to give you a little bit of background on Susie. Number one, she's hypothetical, okay? She doesn't really exist. We made her up for this. But in our scenario, we have Susie is in her late 30s. She has someone she shares expenses with, a significant other. She has a good job, which is by definition since she's working for me. And she does have health insurance, which is a very important aspect of this. Okay, so Susie came back and she had put her budget together. So we took a look at this. And her base salary here is $50,000 a year. And like a good person, she's been taking 10% and putting it in her 401k, saving for that rainy day. And well, I guess, really looks like it's sort of pouring out there right now for her. And she, of course, pays her taxes like all good citizens do. And if you look at her expenses, there's nothing really extravagant here. It tells me that Susie was a very practical, reasonable lady. And she wasn't wasting any money, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about it, it told me that there's somebody who is going to manage your money well and do it. The bad thing about it was there are no easy fixes here. There's no money laying around that's a magic cure. for here's all the funds to move ahead with this. So what I then asked Susie to do was, I mean, clearly because she was in a very high emotional state, was Susie, tell me what you think your financial life's going to be after you start your treatment. Well, boy, did I touch on something there. And I really got a huge flood of emotions. And she rather loudly told me what she thought of me and what kind of an idiot I was. So I made her do this. And this is what, starting with here, this is what Susie thought she was going to be looking at. She goes, Tom, I'm not going to be making any money. I still have to pay rent. I still got to pay my utilities. I got all my expenses. And oh my goodness, I'm going to have, I don't know what kind of medical bills I'm going to have. And this is going to be disastrous. And I looked at this and I thought, well, boy, she looks right from this. But I said, Susie, let's take a little time and let's go through this and let's look at this one item at a time and see what we could do. So what I wanted to do is first look at possible sources of where she could get some money. So I asked, well, do you have private disability insurance? Something all the financial planners say you should do, something that not many people I know actually have. I don't have it. I might go sign up for it here pretty soon, but right now I don't have it. And if she had that, that's something that could pay up 60, 70% of her living expenses while she's off on disability. Well, of course, Susie didn't have that. Next thing we looked at is Social Security. And, well, Social Security for this group doesn't seem like a real fix either. To qualify for Social Security disability, there's a fairly long list of requirements. It's a 3 to 5 month application period to even apply. You're looking at a program that you will not receive any benefits for 6 months. And for the definition of the program, which is sort of difficult to say, is that the disability must be for at least 12 months or result in death. Well, the good news is with the advances in treatments and all the stories I've heard tonight, I think that Jim wrote that their remission is up to 60, maybe over 60% now. So this didn't look like a very good option for Susie. Well, then we looked at the supplemental security income. That's not going to work either. That's for people who have very, very low income. Essentially no income before you can qualify for that. So that's not going to help either. Well, I haven't given anybody any good news yet, have I here? And then the next option was state disability. And I don't know how many have heard of SDI. It's something that's been on your paycheck. They take a little money out all the time. Well, SDI, the rules on SDI is that you must be employed, and all private employers in California are a member of SDI, State Disability Fund. So all the employers pay in, and so you must be working for a private employer. If you're working for the government or railroads or a couple other groups, you're exempted from that. You need to be on disability at least 8 days before you can apply for this. And let me see here. You need to have a medical certification that you are disabled. And finally, you need to be very, very clever about how you apply for this. For example, at my work, we have an annual bonus program that's paid out in March of every year. And when you apply for disability, the way they figure out how you're going to get paid, how much your weekly benefit is I believe it's 2 or 3 quarters back. They look at what your earnings were in that quarter of the year, and they base your benefit on that. For example, my human resources director now is pregnant, and she's going to be applying for disability, and she got her bonus in March. She's checking her calendar, so when she applies for disability, March is going to be included in that quarter, so she'll be maximizing her benefits.